So welcome to another Quo-related haul video. This is a playlist I've been doing for quite a while now, and in it I show you things Quo-related that I have picked up recently. And we're going to start with this album by Rhino's Revenge. This is Charge. This is an amazing live album recorded with Jim Kirkpatrick and Richard Newman at several venues across the UK during the 2018-2019 tour, so pre-pandemic. I love this artwork. It is so eye-catching. I picked up the CD version, which is in limited stock. There is also a vinyl edition out there with a blown-up version of this album artwork. I bet it looks amazing. There is a shortened track list though on that version. On this one we have 16 tracks, many Quo-related tracks including Two-Way Traffic, Obstruction Day, which is, of course was a B-side, Lucinda, another B-side originally sung by Rick. I love the way they kind of soup it up in this as a tribute to Lemmy. We've got Bella Vista Man, obviously from the Party Ain't Over Yet album, Gravy Train and Bad News, both from In Search of the Fourth Chord. The versions on here are just incredible. The fact that they've adapted them to a free piece. The stuff from Rhino's solo albums are, at times, certainly the ones chosen here, are Quo-like, but he puts his own kind of stamp on it, his own personality into there. Things like Republican and Secretary. Secretary's got such a really heavy thing going on there. And it's from his album Rhino's Revenge 2. This album, I would say, because it's in limited supply, if you are a Quo fan who collects things, this is definitely something to try and grab while you can. So that was Rhino's Revenge Charge. If you're interested in buying this album, I'll leave the links in the comments below. So it's fair to say after getting that album, my appetite was whetted for Rhino's solo material. And I managed to get hold of a copy of the first Rhino's Revenge album released on Eagle Records in 2000. This is one of those records that's eluded me over the years, I think because it came out when I was 10 years old and I just haven't sought it out. But there's some amazing compositions on here, much of them live favorites from that previous album that we were talking about. There's also things on here like Jungle Love, Space Maker, Two Suns, Spend, Rocker. It's a great selection of tracks, some in the Quo mold, some veering off slightly, but yeah, if you're a Quo fan, you should definitely pick this up if you can. And actually I think they should, to go with Rhino's Revenge 2 and Charge, they should release this on vinyl. Whoever owns the rights to this now, go on, do it. You know it makes sense. So now for something completely different. So I have read quite a few books on Quo, including Excess All Areas and the recent Francis Rossi autobiography that came out in the last couple of years, but I've always wondered about the one that came out in the early 90s, Just for the Record, by Francis Rossi and Rick Parfitt, the autobiography of Status Quo, as told to Cindy Blake and Roger Casper. Now, I was interested in reading this because, we know a lot of the stories that have been told over the years, but I wondered whether the 10 years between this and Excess All Areas, whether the story changed slightly, or there's a slight difference there that maybe changes the meaning in some way, perhaps the stories that I haven't heard before. And also because the two autobiographies that came later were written with Mick Wall. This is, as I say, Cindy Blake and Roger Casper. Is the writing style different? Are there different focuses here? Well, I haven't read this yet, but I did pick it up from a second-hand book dealer, and I very much look forward to reading it. Did you read this back in the day? What did you make of it? Do let me know in the comments below. I know there are stories of people that say that they went to a book signing and they met Rick and Francis for this one and Excess All Areas. As a fan, this is kind of interesting because obviously it says the autobiography of Status Quo, and then the image of the two guys kind of makes it seem like this is status quo now. And so by this point, it's kind of true, but it's sort of saying we're not a rock band anymore. It's a double act. But then they were on TV in the early 90s doing the kind of banter back and forth with the host and, you know, being those jolly jape chappies that the media required them to be. So there are some interesting angles to take on board. So that's just for the record, the autobiography of Status Quo, released in the early 90s by Francis Rossi and Rick Parfitt. So that's my haul for this time. Have you got either of these albums or this book? Do let me know in the comments below.